To Cafe Simpatico Zoom of the Victoria Central America Support Committee. And although we are concentrated much of the time on Central America, we know that all things are connected, particularly in Latin America. And we do have Zooms and meetings on other countries in Latin America. So welcome everyone. It's been 2 years since we had a meeting in person because of COVID. The last meeting we had in February 2020 was actually on Chile and the art of resistance and what was going on in Chile then. So now we are continuing with getting an update on what's been happening in Chile the last 2 years. And so that is the joy of Zoom, that we can have somebody from San Diego, Chile speaking to us. And we welcome you all. We look forward to having meetings back in person when COVID ends, but we're very grateful that Francis can join us tonight. Normally we meet in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, and we meet on the unceded territory of the Esquimalt Songhees First Nations. And we are grateful to them and to all First Nations in Canada and this hemisphere for sharing our land so generously with them, their land so generously with us. And thank you very much to our First Nations people. If you all have your mutes on, that would be good. And we are going to record this meeting, but we will not be recording the question and answers. So because we don't have the permission of all the people who are coming on, but we do have the permission, the kind permission of our speaker to be recorded so that people who missed tonight will be able to see it later. Frances Valverde is our speaker. I'm really thrilled to have her. She has a whole lifetime of history of activism, of social justice and human rights in the cause of the people of her country, Chile. Her family left Chile, went to Canada where she was in exile, and they returned later back to Chile where she started immediately working with the Human Rights Commission. And up to this day, she still continues to work with families of the disappeared and the tortured, children, the rights of all people, and the social justice movement in Chile. So welcome very much, Frances. We're great to have you here.
Thank you very much for inviting me to talk to you. I don't know if you want me to, I can.
Yes, please start your discussion now. We're really looking forward to it. Welcome.
Okay, well, for me, it's better for you to make me answer questions so I can answer them, because I didn't prepare a sort of a conference, no? But Terry was telling me that you were interested in knowing what was happening in Chile since October 2019, and with the outbreak of the people. And what we are doing now, these 2 years of pandemia, it happened the same as there in Canada. We have to be at home, all of us, and many things happen in between that, because most of the people in Chile, especially the working class people, don't have contract, official contract or formal contract. So the pandemic put forward a reality that was high, that almost 70% of the people that work in Chile don't have a contract. So with the pandemic, they didn't have any right to receive an special monetary help or any social benefit. And that was quite terrible, because we again have groups of people with a lot of problems to survive. And as it happened during the dictatorship in Chile, the what we call the ollas comunes or common pots, or I don't know how you will say that in English, but it's people that get together and to cook together so they can feed a big group of people, especially children. I'm sorry, especially children. Um, and the government, we have a social right, a social a right-wing government, Piñera government, till that March 11, like right now. Um, what they did mainly was to immediately after the 2019 outbreak in October, they repressed people. Yeah, you probably saw all what happened, and it was the international news show all the situation that we were living in Chile with all these people that was losing their sight and their eyes, and with a lot of hundreds of people really injured because of the repression that the Piñera government put forward against the people. That repression continue because during the pandemic, the people still go into the what we call the dignity plaza. Yeah, that is a plaza that is in the center of Santiago, and it's a plaza that divides Santiago in two parts: the orient part and the east part, the west and the east part. My English, the west and the east part, and in the east part of Santiago, the people that it has a higher standard of living live, and in the west part, the poor people live, and that plaza is a round plaza, and shows the difference, no? So what the people did was to take over that plaza. And that's where they said, no, they changed the name. The plaza had another name before that, and they put the name Dignity, the Plaza de la Dignidad, yeah, the Plaza of Dignity. And because the main lemma we did have is to gain again our dignity, like to fight till we get back our dignity. That was our main claim, no? And that claim put forward the desire of hundreds and thousands of people that felt quite frustrated of what was happening in the country because of low wages, repression, corruption. Like it shows all this in this moment, in those years. It became very clear for all of us that the corruption that was at the base of all the military and government and the judicial system was very high, and they have total impunity. Like uh, for example, probably you know this, one group of businessmen, yeah, make a huge fraud, and they went into justice. They had a trial, and the sentence was to go to ethic class, and they have stolen thousands and thousands of millions of pesos. Yeah. So that was sort of they. It was the people felt that were laughing at them. Yeah, that was unsustainable, and that's what happened at the end. No, that all this came together at the same time in the population at the base, the grassroots level. The people was organized. Yeah. So what the movement that make this outbreak at the October 19 was the um, the product of this very constant, systematic work at the grassroots level, and the movement then outbreak. Who put the first stone on that was the students, the secondary school students. Yeah, you probably know that, no? I'm sorry, Janet, you wanted to ask something?
Actually, I would like to just say, Francis, when you're leaning forward, your mic doesn't hit your necklace or whatever it is. But when you're moving,
Oh, okay.
when you're moving your hands around and you're leaning back, it hits your necklace and it makes quite a bit of sound.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I I I'm a teacher, no? So I normally move a lot. For me it's been quite difficult to make classes teaching because I move a lot. So I'm sorry. That's better. So I take the okay. Um, well, what happened after that is that if you ask me, Francis, you thought that a year before the outbreak that we will have a new a constitution in Chile? I will say no. In Chile, that's very difficult to happen, no? But this outbreak was so enormous, was so massive. It happened in all Chile. That also something very interesting to. It wasn't only in the big cities. It was in the small towns. Everybody went out of the on the street. Everybody mobilized. Everybody has something to fight for. Um, ecological political issues, labor issues, pension issues. Like we have in every educational issue, in all themes that the society has to think of, we have issues to ask the government for, and the government didn't respond on that. So the people was so tired, and at the same time, the organization at the grassroots level was getting so important that um, the mobilization that we do have in the whole country was something never seen before. Yeah, we have millions of people on the street on October 25, for example, 2019. Yeah, it was millions and millions of people. You could see the big highways full of people coming to the center of whatever city was where they live. So that make the politicians, the people in the parliamentarians mainly, and the political parties to start to discuss, well, what we can do with that. What is the answer the people need so they will put down their mobilization? And that was to get a new constitution. And that fact that to get a new constitution, even though it wasn't what we really wanted, the way it happened finally, it did change totally the I will say the social representation of the people. The people felt that they have power. And we have to understand that when we are talking about a political power in our country and in all the countries, no, where Chile is one of the most important example of neoliberalism, here we pay for absolutely everything. We don't have anything free. No, we have no health, no education, no pensions, nothing is free. Yeah, and and it's so deeply rooted that people say, well, if you want to have good health or good education or good pension, you have to pay for it. And if you don't have money to pay for, well, you have to get the minimum that the state can give you. So that make the people very hopeful of what was an very, I will say, I think they start to believe again. We start to believe again that the change was possible to happen. We start to believe that if we keep us together and we continue mobilizing ourselves, we can change things. And so we got the constituents that are working now on a new constitution. And the right wing didn't got the third they wanted to have, so they can make all the decisions that the constituent made. They could have a power of veto, that we say here. They didn't get 1/3 of the constituency. There is 150. But also, we got things that we never imagined before. For example, that it was parity. We have the same number of women and men in the who will write the constitution. We have exclusive seat for the First Nations. Yeah. So that's something that we never even dream that could happen in Chile. It happened all of the sudden. But it's not all of the sudden, no? It looked like it was sort of, oof, the repente, something happened out of nothing. It wasn't like that. That's what I put a lot of emphasis that the grassroots movement was quite important. And when you take a look at who are the people that are constituents now that are elaborating the new constitution, a majority of them are grassroots leaders of different themes. They are all grassroots leaders. They all were recognized in their own territories on whatever theme they were working on: water, mining, food, decentralization, pensions, labor law, etc. And children's rights. That's women's rights, children's rights, and that's why one the lemmas that the constituents have is that our new constitution has to be a feminist constitution, and it has to be an ecological constitution. Yeah, and those two principles are quite important on the way we are trying to create this new state in our country. So when we try to, if we could say, what are the lessons, yeah, we learn from the 2019 outbreak in Chile, we will say first that there exists a great capacity to have an autonomous mobilization of the people, because that was the people that took forward and the Dignity Plaza and took over all the countries and all the cities and all the towns in Chile to fight for their rights. And they were able to articulate themselves, to create a networking that was quite important for what we were fighting for. Also, that the territorial organizations at the grassroots level became very, very important. In all the small cities and towns in Chile, there is a group of people that became organized to fight for their rights. And that perhaps could be something that for Canadians in general, I live in Canada almost 6 years, and it was like we were in the paradise. And I know that you say, no, this is not the paradise. Like the problem is that we normally think that in a comparative way, no? If we think of Chile and we think of Canada, the difference is so huge that we can say that it's almost like paradise. But here to fight for human rights is something that is basic, and that's our main fight. Yeah, how we are able to fight for our human rights. Yeah, and at the territorial level and the grassroots organizations, that was something basic and fundamental of what that keep them together and articulate them with the other territories next to them and at the national level at the same time. And that was the platform, and a very solid platform that create all the movement and keep all the movement working at the same time that we are able to have a political stand on the new election of constituents that we do have in 2020. I cannot say the years like I used to say the years in 1910. The 20s, I cannot say it, I'm sorry, but it's the 20s, no? And the other thing that is quite important to understand is that the axe of the fight wasn't a political axe, was a structural axe. Like what was the main pillar that we were fighting for was structural changes in our country, structural changes in the political system, in the economic system, in all the system that the society has. So we have to our fight was a fight against the superstructure, like how that's why we are elaborating a new constitution. Yeah, like the constitution will orient the organization of a new state. Yeah, we want a state, and that's the big challenge that have the new constitution is to have is to create or put forward a state that is democratic, social democratic, and could be could be able to guarantee the human rights of everybody. Second, that this country that is quite centralized will be decentralized. Yeah, and that means that the diversity we do have, it should be recognized as something that make us a better society. Yeah, the diversity is important to respect, to dignify, and to support. Yeah, and also we have to make sure that the human rights are guaranteed in the constitution. Our constitution, the actual constitution we do have, is a constitution that Pinochet created. And that constitution is a constitution that don't recognize human rights for everybody, and don't recognize the state as the state that should guarantee the human rights of everybody. So that's why Chile is the only country in the world that has water privatized. Yeah, it's owned by Canadian enterprise. By the way, Canadian business are here in mining, in sanitary business, and in the energy business. And they are very powerful in our country, like all the businessmen in Chile. I say that could mainly the main sort of a panoramic that I could.
Thank you very much, Francis. That was absolutely, I feel so inspired because I feel that the grassroots movements in Canada have had so little success, and yet we continue, and yet we see this great example from a country, the other end of the globe. And thank you so much. And I wanted to tell everybody, not only is Francis speaking, it's almost midnight in San Diego, but just these last few minutes, it's her birthday. So happy birthday, Francis. It's wonderful that you came on.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.